Hi everybody, I'm Tash.
And I am Damo.
And together we bring you the Barry Chronicles. On today's episode, we're going to be chatting with the one and only Damo. We will be talking about his recent hospital admission and the cluster F that has been the last little bit for him,
wasn't it?
In his journey. So let's get into it.
So,
Damo, this is a topic that you really haven't felt comfortable or particularly wanted to discuss. So thank you for being willing to share. I know that it's not easy.
yeah, it's I've been thinking a lot about it because it was only the 13th of this month that I was admitted to hospital.
Okay, so let's go from there. What happened that you were admitted into the hospital?
In January,
Okay.
going all the way back to January.
So we're rewinding a few months now.
Yeah, a couple of months. Kim and I were in Melbourne,
Yes.
and it was our last day. I'd had a shower and I said to Kim, I'm getting a UTI.
Okay.
It was the next day where I was like, yep, got this UTI. So in the past, because I've had them before, cranberry juice or Ural usually cleared up in a couple of days. This one didn't.
Okay.
Took me a few weeks because I'm a guy.
A few weeks, wow.
And I was trying to ignore it. I finally went to the doctor, and he gave me a cream and said that, just use this, it should clear up.
So you didn't have a UTI, you had an infection?
Yeah, it turned out it was an infection in my foreskin, actually.
All right.
So being brutally honest here.
Yeah,
because,
that's a pretty confronting thing, I can imagine, for a guy. I mean, as a female that's birthed children, etc., I'm used to all manner of people staring into that area. But I can imagine that for you, that would not be something that happens
all that often
with medical professionals.
It was rather confronting, like I hadn't even really said much to Kim about it.
Yeah, I can understand.
Coming through the other side of this now, though, I think it's an important conversation to have, and I think it's important for guys to be willing to go to their doctors about and
100%.
to discuss, because, let's face it, a penis is a body part.
Yep.
It should be no different to getting your finger looked at or your leg or anything else. So I'd ignored it and got the cream and continued to ignore the fact that I had leopard dick. Sorry. Bit of dark humour because, you just got to. I was quite worried because
you and your leopard dick.
I know.
God.
I know. Because as a kid, I remember having a few infections, and there was talk of circumcision when I was about 12, but then hit teenage years and just didn't tell anyone because I was a teenager and, penises are embarrassing. So just ignored it. Well, over the last few months of ignoring it, it eventually got to a point where I couldn't. So I went back to my GP and he sort of looked a bit shocked that I was still having this infection. And
so this was in January?
Yeah, so this was in January, March. It was like May, the start of May, when I went back.
April. Yes.
The start of April.
Yep.
Things are a little bit blurred, and that'll become clearer as we go along. But yeah, so the start of April, I went back to my GP, and he was a little shocked that I hadn't been back, because evidently he'd said to me, if it's not cleared up in a week, then come back. So, took a little bit.
3 months?
3 months.
Yeah, well done.
So he put me on a course of antibiotics, some anti-inflammatories, and stronger antifungal cream. Evidently I had fungus dick, not leopard dick. So anyway.
Yes.
My fun guy wasn't being a fun guy.
No.
So I took the antibiotics and was just getting worse. And when I say worse, it was so much worse, but not just down there, my head. I was constantly feeling sick.
Yep. Okay.
Everyone was sort of noticing it except for me, that I'd become really lethargic.
Yep.
I couldn't get sentences out, and I'm still struggling with that. My vision was terrible. It had gone from I needed distance glasses and reading glasses to my glasses just weren't helping, and I couldn't see when we went out. So,
yeah.
I could see, but everything was blurred. I couldn't make out faces. I couldn't read anything, and I remember.
I'm sure some of our listeners might even have a sense of
where we're going. So, and the infection just kept getting worse.
Yeah.
I remember the night before I went into hospital, it was my mother-in-law's birthday. And Kim was on a video call with Jan. And Kim was asking me some stuff. And I remember just saying to her, stop talking to me. I can't understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
And with that, I rolled over and went to sleep at about 7 o'clock at night and just slept through. That's not normal for me.
No.
I'm not a long sleeper. I can survive quite well on 3 or 4 hours a night. So the next day, and I know Kim had been really worried, and she'd asked a couple of times if I wanted to go to the hospital, and I just kept saying, no, I'm fine, I'm on the antibiotics. So thankfully, and for those that don't know, Tash is my very beautiful older sister. And we have a very close relationship because, obviously, she's my sister, but also we just grew up very close to each other. Did. And I'm really glad that Kim has developed a close relationship with both of my sisters. And I know that Kim had been talking to Tash about my health because it didn't matter what Kim said. I just wasn't receptive to it. But I think a lot of it is part of what I was going through.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I get a call the next morning from Tash, and she said to me, oh, Damo, I've got to go do some business stuff. How about you come for a drive? Yeah, cool. So we went for a drive that morning, and
I held him hostage.
I was trying to navigate. Well, I'm generally quite a good navigator. Old school, I can read a map. I knew how to use a Refidex. So with my...
that makes you old
school. So with my trusty phone, it shouldn't be a problem. Well, I couldn't even work out how to turn up the voice on my phone so that Bixby could navigate where we were going. So I couldn't navigate. And I started realising that there was something wrong when I couldn't tell Tash to turn left.
Yes.
So Tash says to me, you need to go to the hospital before your penis falls off. Which I agreed to, because I know that if Tash is saying it, then okay, it's serious, because you and I, we've both been through our health issues.
Yeah, we have.
And we know when
not given to being overly dramatic.
Yeah.
In those areas, so yeah, it was time.
Yeah,
it was time.
So Tash gave me the option of either her dropping me off at the hospital or go home, get Kim to take me up. I still wanted to maintain some of that stubbornness. I'm choosing. So I said, well, I'll go home and I'll get Kim to take me up, which I actually did. We went straight up to the hospital. And, it's not easy it wasn't easy for me to go up and say, hey, I've got a fungi in my fungi and I need help. However, I did. And this is one of the things where we talk about we have to advocate for ourselves. And sometimes it's easier to say that than actually do that.
Yeah, that's very true.
So we go in, and to the hospital's credit, they were quite quick in taking me through and explain to the nurses what's going on.
Yeah.
And so then I got to take my pants off, and I refrained from doing the helicopter.
Well done.
But then, and this is where it's great to be able to either advocate for yourself or have someone that's willing to do that, because as the nurse left, she started making jokes about what I was going through, and that, hopefully it'll be a doctor that has to do
Okay,
the
so
swab.
jokes, I know the story, but jokes to you about what you were going through, or jokes to other staff?
So jokes to other staff.
Right,
So,
okay, and you heard that?
And I heard that. I heard the nurse
And
outside,
Kim
and Kim
heard
was
that.
there as well. The nurse walked out and made a joke to another nurse who she was doing handover to.
Right.
Hopefully it'll be a doctor that has to do this one.
Right. Okay, so that's going to make you feel great.
And so with that, I said to Kim, give me my jacket, I'm going home. To Kim's credit, she was already on the phone texting the family about what was going on, and the next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from Tash saying, I've rung the hospital and let them know what's happening. And to the hospital's credit, it was dealt with within 20 minutes.
Yeah. They did a great job. They really did.
Nurse that is in charge of all that sort of stuff, she came and saw me. She spoke with the nurses and the doctors that were involved. And even to the nurse's credit, the one that was taking over, she came in apologising. She didn't want to have any part in making me feel uncomfortable. And
yeah, I mean, because obviously there was an infection issue going on, but it wasn't just an infection issue.
Yes. So once that had all been dealt with, they'd asked for a urine sample.
Yep.
And this is when we realised how bad it was that looking at the urine sample, it was almost basically glucose.
Right. Okay, so Damo, this is, and I know that this was an incredibly difficult experience for you to go through, but what does that mean?
So what that meant was, and I knew as soon as they said it, that the type 2 diabetes that I had been told I no longer had come back.
Right. Okay.
And I said that to them.
So the whole point of your weight loss surgery was obviously to save your life, for you to lose the weight. The primary drive behind all of that was
to get rid of type 2 diabetes.
Yep.
Because I was insulin dependent and it was just getting worse.
Okay.
So the moment they said about the glucose, my whole world fell apart.
Yep. Absolutely, and understandably so.
So lying in the bed, bawling my eyes out to Kim, going, I have fucked up everything. I have wasted the surgery. I am going to be back on insulin. This is before I'd even seen a doctor, but I knew where this was going.
Yep.
They came in and did the finger prick to test my blood sugar, and all it came back with was high. So I knew that was bad. They estimated that my blood sugar was around 28, 30,
Yep.
Which normal is like 4.5.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, yeah, okay, this is... They were trying to make it better by saying, well, the infection can really drive high blood sugars and...
Yes. So let's just reverse for a minute. You had your weight loss surgery, your insulin dependent diabetes went into remission.
Yeah.
For a period of years.
Yes.
Looking back over time now, though, I know that you can probably pinpoint around when you think it may have come back.
Yeah.
You weren't... you were discharged, weren't you, from...
Yes. Within 6 months of having my weight loss surgery, the diabetes clinic discharged me. The endocrinologist actually said to me, Damo, diabetes is gone. You are diabetes free. I'm discharging you from the clinic because there's no need for you to be here now. We'll test you again maybe when you're 50.
Okay. All right. So this was when you lived in Queensland.
Yeah.
This is what happened to you.
Yep.
This was your experience. And obviously the diabetes came back.
Yes.
Or, at some point, we don't know when, because you weren't being tested regularly for that, were you?
No. So the only blood tests that I'd had were just the standard
vitamin, blah, blah.
Vitamin and all those sorts of levels. So I guess I've spent the last 9 years grasping at the fact that I'd lost over 100 kilos.
Yeah.
I'd reversed type 2 diabetes and all the other problems I had. And then lying in that hospital bed, it all came flooding back.
Yeah.
The feeling of hopelessness that I had when I was told, if you don't lose weight, then you'll be dead in 5 years' time. All those feelings, suddenly, oh my God, it's happening again.
Yeah.
And in the state that I was in, I couldn't even think clearly other than just what was being said to me right at that moment. Yeah. At one point they said that if I hadn't have come in that day, then I would have been in a coma and dead within a couple of days.
Yeah.
and one of the specialists came in and said, your sister saved your life. So that was a lot to take in, even in my diabetes-induced stupor that I was in, that they, at one point they were talking about putting me in ICU with an insulin infusion going in to try and bring it down.
Thankfully, that didn't need to happen. You did respond.
Yes.
It did take a little while, didn't it?
Yeah, but it responded really well to the first lot of insulin. Sort of within 20 minutes, it had come down to 24 where they could actually get a reading.
Where they could get a reading, yeah. So to their credit, once they realised exactly what was going on, they acted very quickly. And this was also... Now we know this was the reason that the infection was so lingering.
Yeah, because high blood sugar, type 2 diabetes feeds infections.
Yeah. Now let's just for a minute, the doctor that you were seeing here, he didn't have record of diabetes because it had been so long?
It had been so long and I hadn't been tested or treated or...
Right, okay. So again, this is just one of those cautionary tales, isn't it? To make sure that your health professionals know a full history?
Yes.
Would you say that's really important?
Yes. And I think to also... It's easy... We all know that it's easy for doctors that see us regularly to become a little bit blasé about things.
Yeah.
Especially if they're busy but it's also easy for us to become blasé.
Yeah, very, very true.
And even though we know that we should be doing something regularly, it can be a lot easier for us to encourage other people than to actually take the time to do it for ourselves.
Yeah. So now you're on...
So now I'm on Ozempic,
okay,
which they're hoping will help with some more weight loss. I'm on...
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a minute, because I know that's been something that you'd struggled with. And for reference or for context, you're 9 years post gastric sleeve.
Yes.
And you lost well over 100 kilos, didn't you?
Yeah, closer to 110.
And now you're sitting still at around about
an 80 to 90 kilo
weight loss.
About 90 kilo weight loss still. So it's something that I should be really proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a conversation that we had, wasn't it? Because it was just incredibly obvious to me that Damo was feeling like an absolute failure.
Yeah. You know, I run a page with thousands of members and encourage people with their weight loss surgery journey and their aftercare, and here I am laying in a hospital bed days away from death because I hadn't taken my own advice. Yeah.
100%. And that's like a full disclosure thing.
Yeah.
So in that state, I know that you were feeling, oh my God, I have failed. Look at what has happened. But honestly, we don't really know, do we? What triggered what?
No.
And we never will. You've had an infection. That infection is something that you have struggled with for, on and off for many years, and it will be treated in the next month or thereabouts.
Yes. And this is the amazing thing about the hospital down here, and I've never had treatment like it in Queensland. The emergency department, obviously, they sent me up to the ward and said, you're going to be in until we get this under control. We'll organise an endocrinologist, we'll organise a urologist, and you'll be seen by a specialist doctor as well. So I was like, okay, well, that's nice. Sort of thinking, yeah, they'll just bring my sugar down, send me home, and I'll see them all as an outpatient sometime maybe.
Yeah.
That night, I got up to the ward. It was about 10:30, and had nurses come in and do my whole history again. And then suddenly a doctor appears. And he was the kindest, one of the kindest doctors that I've ever met. And there was he actually said to me, "This is not your fault."
Yeah.
He said, "This is not from what you've been eating. This is just what happened."
Yeah, 100%.
He said, "This is something that should have been monitored, that," he said, "we as a health profession in Australia have failed you.
Yeah.
Because you should never have been discharged from the diabetes clinic."
Yeah.
That was really hard for me to hear.
Absolutely.
And I had a lot of anger after that, because I see now that, no, I shouldn't have been discharged.
Yeah.
I should have been monitored.
Yeah.
My GP should have insisted on doing my HbA1cs and but just due to a whole, I guess, miscommunication or whatever we want to call it, it just caused a domino effect.
Yeah.
All the way down the line.
Yep.
To me going, yes, I'm diabetes free, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
And I admit, I blindly and happily grasped onto that and went, yes, I beat diabetes.
Yeah.
And gave no more thoughts to it because I beat it.
Yeah. So now that you've had a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so it's been a couple of weeks. I'm happy to say that my blood sugar is sitting around the 6.5 most of the time.
Yep.
Which is just so amazing. My head's starting to clear up. I can see better than what I could. It was amazing having the endocrinologist and the urologist. They both came in to see me and to organise a plan for the long term. It was interesting speaking to the endocrinologist because he said to me he wasn't really sure of what I would need to be on long term. He said it could have been a case that the infection was driving the diabetes, which was driving the infection. So, just that vicious circle.
Yeah, and a perfect storm, basically.
Yeah. And I really think if it hadn't have been that infection, it would have been another one.
Something else.
Which, could have been worse. Who knows? We don't know. And it certainly could have been worse with how bad the diabetes had gotten to.
Yeah.
Without being treated. And I think that's what I'm still slowly dealing with and coming to terms with. I realise now that there were signs for at least the last 18 months. But it's so easy to get caught up in life.
Yeah.
And
100%.
with things happening, we have families, we have work, we have all these other commitments that as an adult we can put our own health on the back burner so that we can do life. And I see so many men do it, women do it, we all do what we've got to do.
We do.
And so often it's our health that suffers for that.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the biggest things that I'm taking away from it, is that we need to take our health seriously. And just because we've had weight loss surgery doesn't mean that all our health conditions are going to just
be fixed. And even if they are, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't monitor.
Yes.
And this is why we often talk about blood tests. This is why we often advocate, please make sure that you're looking after yourself. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Have the regular blood tests. Follow up with your health professionals. Do those things for you, because only you can.
Yeah. And I think it's important for a lot of us, we've lived with all our health conditions are blamed on our weight.
Yeah.
So when we deal with the weight, we think,
woo!
Okay, it's all dealt with. My cholesterol's gone down, my blood pressure's gone down, my type 2 diabetes has disappeared. All these things are better. Oh, it was my weight. Until it's not.
Yeah, until it's not. That's right. So this is why this really is such an important discussion to have. And I think, Damo, thank you for being willing to share, because I know it is hard, but also as somebody that's 9 years post-op, oftentimes people are not really talking about their weight loss surgery anymore. They've moved on from that. Life's gone in a different direction, and the weight loss surgery has become something that's just something that they did to achieve a changed life.
Yeah.
And that's as it should be, but make sure that we still keep tabs on our health. Make sure that we still have those important connections with, at least with our GPs anyway, to make sure that we're monitoring those conditions that we previously had, to make sure that nothing has changed. And I think that you're very, very brave to have been willing to share about this. So what is next for you? Have you thought that far?
It's an interesting journey and so much self-reflection, which, as you know, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And something that I've already done is pretty much cut out the added sugar in my diet.
Yeah.
I'm down to just having coffee with no sugar in it, no sweetener. When I have a soft drink, I either have low calorie soda water, or a like a flavored soda water, or Diet Coke.
Yep.
And I've even found some no carb beers for when I feel like having a beer.
So would you say that your moderate diet has had to change?
That was the interesting one, because I was having one meal a day.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple of snacks, but not very often. Literally, I just have my dinner at night.
So you probably weren't really looking after yourself overly well.
I wasn't looking after myself for someone who had type 2 diabetes. Mm. And now I have to have breakfast. I have to have lunch and I have to have dinner. I don't need to have the snacks in between and all that sort of stuff. But it's important to fuel our bodies the right way.
Yeah. So it's just been a reminder, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has. You know, we can't just rely on our multiple cups of coffee or you know, oh, I'm too busy to have that. Because are we really too busy to look after our health?
Yeah. If we are, then we're too busy.
Yes. And we need to make healthy changes. And sometimes those healthy changes are a decrease. Yeah, they're inconvenient. You know, it might be getting up an extra half an hour early so that we can actually have a breakfast.
Have breakfast properly, go for that walk, do those things. And I think that this is one of the really important takeaway lessons from this situation that I know I will take away from it personally, is that while we love our weight loss surgery and we love the tool that weight loss surgery is, it is a tool.
Yeah.
And it is the life that we live after the weight loss surgery and those choices that we make that we can use to really empower ourselves. And I know that you did that for many, 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 many years, and you didn't just stop doing that.
Yeah.
You still made great choices. It's just that in this particular situation, your body has gone, wow, okay, I'm having an infection.
Yeah.
And
the other thing I didn't even think of was that I'm 10 years older.
That's right.
Than when that happened. You know,
that's right.
And just that aging makes a difference.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It makes a difference to the way we process things. It makes a difference to our activity, to everything.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what we have to remember as well, that just because I might be more active now than what I was when I was 210 kilos, we still need to maintain that
fueling our bodies, doing all of those things. And that is such an important lesson. I know for me, because I have reactive hypoglycemia, I must eat.
Yes.
I must.
Yep.
I have to. And that was very hard for me. I tended towards the one meal a day and coffees and things, but I'm very, very disciplined in terms of breakfast, lunch, dinner, and doing my life well like that.
Yeah.
To look after myself. And there really is no replacing good, healthy habits, is there?
No, there isn't. And I guess if I could go back now, when I had my weight loss surgery, the thought process back then was, you know, you have to change everything. And a lot of us that had surgery back then searched for an answer that we actually liked when we asked, what do I have to change? And I found that the whole Aussie attitude at times can be very, we just have less of what we've always had and that'll be okay. And I think a lot of that comes back to the she'll be right attitude.
Yeah, I would really agree with that.
And
she won't be right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, even when the dietitian came in, because I actually asked to see a dietitian when I was in the hospital. I haven't seen one in a long time, but you know, I treated it as if it was a new condition for me.
Yeah. Yeah, very wise. I think it's wise.
The dietitian came in and she said to me, we were talking about some of my eating habits and different things, and she said to me, you know what, that it's fine to have that as a sometimes food.
Yeah.
She didn't use the term good and bad.
Good and bad,
foods,
which I love.
Which I loved that.
Yeah.
I was really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
But she did say that needs to become a sometimes.
Yeah, a sometimes thing, and we surround our eating habits or scaffold our lives with those foods that we know are going to nourish us and do us good the majority of the time.
Yep.
Which is such an important, it really is an important lesson, and I know this is one that's changed my life. I do not look at food, view it as good and bad.
Yep.
That language does not exist in my home at all, or around my children, around eating habits. I believe that it is just such a toxic mentality. Food is food.
Yep.
It doesn't have morality.
Yep.
It's not
definitely.
It's not good or bad. It's food, and we choose the way that we nourish ourselves, and that's the important factor, is nourishing.
Yep. Even last night, I said to Kim, I would really love some ice cream.
Yeah.
And for the last couple of weeks, I'm not having anything.
Yeah.
Remotely, So we went and got an ice cream.
Yeah.
I got a soft serve from Macca's.
Yeah.
With no topping on it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even eat half of it.
Yeah.
And I've started listening to my body again. And I ate maybe a third of it.
Yeah.
And when, you know what, I'm really satisfied.
Yeah. I'm
need done
anymore. Yeah.
And put it in the bin.
Yeah. Really important. It's a really, really important lesson. I believe anyway that it's so important that we don't have this all or nothing attitude towards food. If we do that, then it just becomes something that we crave, and then we can binge.
Yeah.
Well, that's my experience anyway.
Yep. I was so glad that I did it, and then I won't do it again now for whenever.
Yeah.
But I tested my blood sugar this morning, and it was 6.5.
Yeah, great. It's really good.
I didn't have a spike because I'm now on the medications that I need to keep everything at a reasonable level.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I loved about what the doctor said, and the endocrinologist backed it up as well, that they wanted me, even in hospital, to eat like I would normally eat so that they could work out what levels of insulin I needed to keep myself at a reasonable level.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, we want you to totally change everything while you're in hospital. Yeah. And then I go home and have to...
And crash and burn because you can't maintain, or, it's just not realistic to maintain those things.
So I ate the things that I would like to eat at home. For breakfast in hospital, I ordered the bacon and egg sandwich.
Yeah.
And then lunch, I would order what I would normally have.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Yep.
And they got to do my levels based on that.
Yep.
And now that I'm home, my levels have stayed the same.
Yeah.
Even being able to have a bit of a soft serve.
Yeah.
And I actually finding that it's easier now than what I was doing by going, oh, well, I haven't eaten all day, so I need to try and stuff in this amount.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need to do that now.
Look, good on you, Damo, for being honest. This is real life, lived experience. Somebody that's nearly 10 years out from their weight loss surgery, going, okay, this is my lived real life experience, and maintaining a 90 kilo weight loss for that long.
We want the Barry Chronicles to be a place where we can discuss your stories.
So if you would like to share about your journey, the good, the bad, the awesome, or the shitty.
Actually, on shitty, I've got a shitty.
Okay, well,
a quick shitty story. Kim and I were out the other day, and we went past this nice looking. Well, it was a food court and one of the stall things in there, and I thought, you know what, their spring rolls and that looked fantastic, tasted fantastic. I looked hilarious, squeezing my butt cheeks together, running to the toilet.
Gosh. Oh no. Yes. Well, I think that most of us have at least one story like that. But look, we would love to hear yours. So if you want to be able to share them with us, and we would love for you to do that, then you can email us at contact, that's CONTACT, at barrychronicles.com. So that's BARICHRONICLES.com.
Awesome. On our next episode, we're going to be talking to a really good friend of ours and someone that we really care about. His name's Chen. He had his gastric bypass about 4 months ago and had huge difficulties, and it was actually a really scary time for his whole family, for everyone that cared about him or cares about him, being that he did survive and we will be talking to him. But we're going to be talking to him and hearing about what happened, where he is now, how he's going, how he sees his future, and
Can't wait.
we actually found out that he's having some more treatments, so that's going to be great. But we're going to hear all about that, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited to hear what's up next for Chen. So thank you for joining us today on the Barry Chronicles. We're proudly sponsored by